So I guess there is one more thing, that we should make a dedicated video commentary about when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks post-Quinn Hughes trade. The question that I got a lot of people asking me on my own social media, in my group chats, the ball hockey folks, the ice hockey folks, the floor hockey folks, WhatsApp was blowing up yesterday, even the chats in my own fantasy hockey leagues. People were asking the question, does the Quinn Hughes trade mean the Vancouver Canucks are rebuilding? And I want to say this right here. The Canucks are last place in the NHL, and they just traded away their best player. They best better believe that a rebuild is heading their way. We best better believe that this team is rebuilding. And that word, rebuild, was used by Jim Rutherford in yesterday's press conference. However, we can say that that may not actually align with what this team has been trying to do heading into this spot. Ryan Henderson went out there and tweeted this. I enjoy how Rutherford threw around the word rebuild yesterday, like it's what they've been saying all along. On November 14th, 1 month ago, Rutherford told Ian McIntyre a rebuild is not something we are going to look at doing. But yesterday he said, we've been in a rebuild for a bit. Can't fool this market, Ryan said. Let's take a look at the quotes here, shall we? This is what Rutherford said a month ago. A rebuild is not something that we're going to look at doing. Like I said, we're in transition. But we're not trading all these players for draft picks that may or may not end up playing someday. Well, that's why you traded away Quinn Hughes, right? Okay, I'm not going to poke fun at that. Zeev Buium, Ugrin, Rossi, and a first-round pick. I love the return. For what the Canucks were faced with and the circumstances they put upon themselves, let's be real here, that return is probably some of the best they could have gotten, even if it might have been Minnesota's first offer. But, next slide. What does that mean for the Canucks? I believe that we've been in a rebuild here for a little bit, and that was what Rutherford said yesterday. And here's the thing. I feel like from Vancouver's perspective, if they fully believe that they are in a rebuild now, which is what Rutherford insinuated, I feel like they got into this spot not by choice. I feel like, oh, it was the injuries. Oh, we suck. Oh, we're last in the league. Oh, our team is not great. Oh, we suck. Oh, the roster that we put together is not good enough to compete. Oh, we suck. Did I mention we suck? I feel like at that point, it's like, yeah, well, screw it. It's fine. Let's just do the rebuild. Let's just start using that word and try to gaslight Canucks fans and media into believing that this was always the plan, even though a month ago they said they didn't want to do that. Let's go out there and read some of the replies. JM84 said that Rutherford's been hinting at it for a while. Every time he's talked, it's been about how the team is getting younger. I've said many times this market is obsessed with vocabulary. Who cares what they call it? Just do the right thing and accumulate draft assets and get younger. I can understand that. Why do you keep complaining? The fan base got what they wanted. Hughes is gone and the rebuild has begun. I do understand these perspectives. It's like, hey, what's the fuss about Rutherford's inconsistency here? They said they weren't in a rebuild, now they're saying they are. At the very least, they are. Isn't that the important thing? And I guess this right here is the way that you can view it with probably the most accuracy. Jay says the context for Rutherford's original words and actions was to do anything to keep Quinn Hughes. The context changes once Quinn decided he wasn't re-signing. JR's not lying. He's been in a rebuild for a bit when Quinn Hughes told him he was leaving. He just didn't share that with us until now. And I think that's probably the most accurate way to look at it, although I do question if Rutherford knew that Quinn wasn't going to come back a year and a half ago, why go through the entire song and dance of trying to put everything together that way? Take a look at what Satyr Shah said. I get what Rutherford said about rebuilding teams needing veterans to show the young guys the ropes. It's a standard NHL GM take. But I still don't understand the need to flip the New York Rangers first for Marcus Pettersson if they were in a rebuild after trading JT and they knew that Quinn likely wasn't staying. Sean Beardy Canucks said they were not in a rebuild mode at that point, and they thought that if they could turn that season around, they could convince Hughes to stay. At least that's how I view it. But Jim said they were in a rebuild after trading JT. Doesn't match with the action of trading for Marcus Pettersson. Rebuild with Hughes versus rebuild without Hughes. Also, I missed when Rutherford said they were rebuilding back then. Can you please point that out? He said they're in transition back then. What he said yesterday about their direction didn't match up with their posture when the JT and Marcus Pettersson deals were made, so it's fair to ask why they moved the first for a veteran D if the focus was rebuilding. Transition versus rebuild. I know it's semantics and we can argue over it, but that trade was one made to try to keep the team competitive and keep Hughes, while now they're definitely trying a different approach. And then you had Cody Sievertson replying with this: there are two possible reasons why the Vancouver Canucks continued to make moves like the Marcus Pettersson move, despite already thinking that they were in transition / being in a rebuild. Cody says they're both crap. 1. Either the Vancouver Canucks knew Quinn Hughes was leaving and arrogantly thought they could get him to ignore a decade of failure and stay with a few win-now moves and signings, or 2, they knew he was leaving, but the mandate from up top said, make moves to win now. Either way, they both scream of somebody in the Canucks organization who tried to make some desperate measures to keep the team competitive in the short term. Which, if you're thinking about a team going through a quote-unquote rebuild, is probably not the way you want to manage your hockey team. But again, I think it's fair to say that at least they're there now, right? As we highlighted in yesterday's video about the Vancouver Canucks and the Quinn Hughes trade, I mentioned this in the initial trade report, but if Vancouver trades away that first-round pick, that's going to be a very big telltale sign as to where this management's mindset really is about this team. Like, they traded away JT Miller for a bunch of stuff in a first. They got the first. They sent it away for Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. They traded away Bo Horvat for a bunch of stuff, including a first, and then they traded that first for Phil Hronek. If Vancouver does the same thing here with the Quinn Hughes first, it'll pretty much align with the same things we were seeing here. Vancouver trying to make these short-term moves to try to help the team be competitive now, but then again, as we just mentioned, Vancouver is last place in the NHL and they just traded away their best player. What kind of short-term vision could even possibly exist at this point, unless you're building for next year? I mean, as long as they get the first overall pick, I think that's what's going to make Canucks fans happy. Now, I'll end off this video by looking at this tweet from Taj. This goes back over to the Jim Rutherford comments about a rebuild, quote-unquote. Taj says, the Canucks really think the people in this market are stupid. It's ridiculous that Rutherford and Alvin held separate media availabilities because, hey, the owner is nowhere to be found. A normal organization would hold a press conference and they'd be able to address everything by itself. And then Dantastic went out there and said, I'm okay with Aquaman not being around. We don't want him involved in hockey operations to begin with, even though we all know that he is. So, at the end of the day, the Patrick Alvin, Francesco Aquilini, Jim Rutherford triumvirate managing this Vancouver Canucks team, owning the team, and dictating which trades are made, you can question whether or not this doesn't really align with the stuff they had done prior. And with all this in mind, I hope that you let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Does it bother you that there has been a pretty strange change in messaging, a pretty drastic modification to the timeline of Vancouver hockey from a month ago until now? Do you think it was all bravado, trying to convince Quinn Hughes to stay? Do you think it was all a facade? They knew he was going to leave, but they couldn't outright admit they were rebuilding, so they just had to say, yeah, no, we don't want to do that. Is that more accurate? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.